Closing arguments are continuing right now in Ludington, and just minutes ago we saw a tense exchange between the prosecutor and defense attorney in court.
24-hour News 8's Leon Hendricks is live to show us what happened. Leon?
Brian and Sue, good evening. This whole thing has been tense from day one. No exception here during these closing arguments. Both the prosecutor and the defense attorney had gotten through their closing arguments. The prosecution then has an opportunity to do a rebuttal. During that rebuttal, he was poking holes at the defense attorney's stance that the elements of the crime haven't been proven, that there are some things that some possible scenarios that could have happened that would result in Sean Phillips not being charged. During the hearing today, the defense attorney took issue with that. Take a listen.
Okay, so we argued the elements. That Sean took her and then gave her to a man and she's hiding in plain view somewhere. That somehow doesn't apply to the location of the restrained person as secret. Who is interested in knowing where Catherine is right now? Ariel? And an awful lot of other people are interested in knowing where she is.
Your Honor, I would object at this time. It doesn't matter if other people hear where she's at. The elements, he's misleading the jury. The elements
Absolutely not am I misleading the jury.
There's a time you have a break, so I'm going to take this argument out of your presence.
And then after that exchange, the judge pushing the jury into an unplanned recess as they try to sort through some of this. In a few minutes here, Paul Spagnola, the prosecutor, will be back out finishing his rebuttal argument. He did apologize to the judge for what he called snapping during the defense's objection. Again, the tension, of course, continuing as this case gets ready to go to the jury. Back to you.
Leon, did the defense ever address the timeline and the gap of where Sean Phillips was that afternoon that Kate went missing? Was that ever addressed by the defense?
Well, Brian, they did address it, but they addressed it by trying to show some gaps in Ariel's timeline. They really didn't try to explain where Sean Phillips was. They said when he gets angry, sometimes he turns off his phone. His mother testified to that. They said that may have been the case here. Ariel was known to call him repeatedly at times. They say that's what happened in this case. He got upset and turned off his phone. Had nothing to do with the fact that the baby Kate had gone missing. What they tried to do was take the timeline that they say has no holes for Ariel and say, wait a minute, there was a time while she was making phone calls that she was supposedly in this van driving down to DHS to see if Sean had taken the baby there, driving back here. There's an hour-long gap where her whereabouts are unaccounted for, except for her claims, the phone calls, and the girl she was driving with. They're saying maybe she and Elena plotted something together, or perhaps Elena didn't know about it, but she was using that as an alibi. So they're kind of taking both angles at that. This timeline is a huge piece of evidence, and that is something she went after quite strongly during her closing arguments. Right.
Leon Hendricks live for us tonight, the baby Kate trial, and once the jury has a verdict, of course, we'll bring you complete coverage. We plan to carry that verdict live on air on Wood TV. We'll also stream it live at woodtv.com.